A girl named Alice got tired of walking all day without doing anything. The heat made her sleepy. Suddenly she noticed the white rabbit, who was in a hurry somewhere. It seemed strange to the girl that he was talking to himself and kept looking at his watch. Burning with curiosity, Alice rushed after the rabbit, and without hesitation jumped after him into the hole. Inside was a deep well, the walls of which were lined with bookcases. Alice fell very slowly and managed to see everything properly. Once at the bottom of the well, the girl noticed a glass table with 3 legs. On it lay a small golden key and some kind of bottle. Alice tried to open the door with the key, but it was too small. Looking around, she saw a small door. To open it and find herself in a magnificent garden, Alice had to drink from a bottle from the table. After taking a couple of sips, she began to decrease in size. The girl shrank so quickly that she did not have time to take the key from the table. Then she saw a magic pie on the floor. As soon as Alice took a bite, she began to grow rapidly upward. The girl grew so much that she could not go through the cherished door again. Alice began to cry so much that soon a huge puddle formed near her. At that moment she noticed the white rabbit. The girl called him, but he was in a hurry, and in fright dropped his gloves and fan. Alice picked them up and noticed how she began to shrink. The reason was a magic fan. Alice fell into a pool of her own tears. When she was thrown ashore, the girl again noticed the rabbit. He confused Alice with his maid, and ordered to immediately go home for new gloves and a fan. The girl ran to carry out the order. In the rabbit's house, she could not resist curiosity, and drank some liquid from a bottle. This led to the fact that Alice grew to gigantic proportions, and quickly filled the whole house. She was able to shrink only thanks to the pies. Having regained her previous dimensions, the girl ran away. Soon she saw a huge mushroom on which a large blue caterpillar was sitting. Alice complained to her about her constant changes in height. The caterpillar advised the girl to eat a piece of mushroom. Alice ate a small bite and finally returned to her normal height. And she went on. Suddenly, Alice saw a house. Going inside, the girl was in the kitchen, in which she saw the Duchess with a crying baby in her arms. A huge cat was sitting on the floor, smiling from ear to ear. The Duchess explained to Alice that he was smiling because it was a Cheshire cat. Suddenly the cat disappeared and the baby burst into tears. The Duchess gave the child to Alice, and she herself went to the Queen. The girl was surprised to find that she was not holding a child, but a real little pig. When the cat reappeared, he advised Alice to find the March hare. And then he disappeared, and only his smile remained in the air. The girl hit the road. Soon she saw the house of the March hare. Alice came just in time for the beginning of the tea party. The table was huge, but only the March hare, the Mad Hatter and Sonia the Mouse were sitting at it. They would not let anyone sit at the table, and said that there was no room. Alice learned that they were forced to drink tea incessantly as punishment for killing time. The hare and the Hatter mocked the girl in every possible way and ridiculed her. Unable to tolerate such rudeness, she silently got up and left. Soon Alice found herself in a wonderful garden. She noticed gardeners who looked like playing cards. They dyed white roses red. The girl was very surprised at this. She learned that their queen loved red roses, and only white ones grew. The queen executed her servants for the slightest offense. The gardeners said she was judging the servant who stole the cookies right now. Alice was very interested, and she went to court. There she saw the March hare and the Mad Hatter testifying. When they finished, the queen suddenly summoned Alice for questioning. The girl replied that she knew nothing and ordered to let the servant go. The queen got angry and ordered to grab the girl. At that moment, Alice felt that she began to grow again. The girl realized that these were just cards, and she was not afraid of them. And at that very moment, the magic disappeared. Alice woke up in the same clearing where she first saw the white rabbit. There was a familiar landscape around, familiar sounds were heard. So it was only a dream, thought Alice. Once upon a time there was an old miller who had 3 sons. When the miller died, he left his sons a mill, a donkey, and a cat. The eldest got the mill, the middle got the donkey, and the youngest had to take the cat. The older brothers laughed at him, but the cat promised that he would make his younger brother rich if he gave him a pair of boots and a bag. The owner was surprised, but fulfilled the cat's request. The cat immediately pulled on his boots on his hind legs, poured oats into the sack, threw it over his shoulders, and went hunting. In the forest, he opened the bag, threw it on the ground, and hid himself in the thickets. He didn't have to wait long. A curious hare galloped to the sack and climbed into it to feast on oats. And the cat was just waiting for that. He jumped out of the thicket, tightened the sack, lifted it on his shoulders, and went to the royal castle. The king of that country was a great lover of good food. The cat bowed deeply to him, handed the hare, and said that it was a gift from his master, the Marquis de Carabas. The king was pleasantly surprised by this surprise. The cat bowed like a real nobleman and hit the road. The next day he went hunting with the sack again. This time he managed to catch 2 fat partridges. The king was delighted to see another pleasant gift. For several weeks in a row, the cat continued to wear partridges and hares to the king. But he did not say anything about this to his hungry and emaciated owner. Once the cat saw a princess in the palace. She was very beautiful. The cat realized that she would be a wonderful wife for his master. And so the king wanted to finally meet the Marquis. The cat replied that they could find him tomorrow for a walk where the mills were. And he himself ran at full speed to the mill. Seeing the owner, the cat said that tomorrow he will need to swim in the river, and then his life will change. The next morning, as soon as he got into the water, the cat grabbed his clothes and hid them in the bushes. At that moment the royal carriage appeared on the road. The cat jumped out onto the road and shouted at the top of his lungs, "Save me! Help! The Marquis de Carabas is drowning!" Hearing this, the king ordered to pull the Marquis out of the water. The miller's son got very frightened when 2 guards began to drag him out of the river where he was basking in warm water. The king ordered to bring him his silk attire. The miller's son initially refused, but he liked the gold-embroidered clothes so much that he gladly put on the royal outfit. The king invited him to the carriage, where the beautiful princess was sitting. The miller's son was dumbfounded, but without further ado got into the carriage. A minute later, the carriage rolled on through the fields and meadows that belonged to the giant cannibal who lived in a huge castle. The cat wasted no time, and what was the spirit rushed ahead of the carriage towards the meadow, where the reapers were working in the sweat of their brow. He asked them to say that these fields belonged to the Marquis de Carabas, otherwise the evil cannibal will eat them. Before the astonished reapers could reply, the king's carriage pulled up. And when the king asked whose meadows they were, they answered in a friendly chorus that these fields belonged to the Marquis de Carabas. Meanwhile, the cat went straight to the man-eater's castle. With feline dexterity, he jumped over the stone wall and made his way into the castle. The cannibal was sitting at a large table laden with various dishes. Seeing the Puss in Boots, he was greatly surprised at such impudence. The cat began to tease the giant and said that he could not turn into a lion. Before the cat had time to utter these words, the cannibal turned into a huge lion with a shaggy mane. The cat's soul went into his boots from fear, but he overcame it and said that the cannibal could never turn into a mouse. The terrible lion disappeared, and a small mouse appeared in its place. And that was all the cat needed. In the blink of an eye he caught up with the mouse, caught it, and ate it. At this very time, the royal carriage drove into the castle courtyard. Opening the carriage doors, the cat bowed politely and said that he was glad to see everyone in the castle of the Marquis de Carabas. It is difficult to say who was more numb from amazement at these words, the king or the miller's son, who already did not understand anything at all. The cat took the guests to the table. At the end of the dinner, the king, having eaten to the fullest, said that the Marquis was indeed a very worthy man, therefore he would gladly give his daughter to wife. The princess was happy, young, handsome, and besides, she really liked the rich Marquis. Soon they played a wedding. So the miller's son married a princess and became a prince. All of them lived happily ever after, especially the cat, who proudly paced the palace in high boots.